Welcome back to Piece of Work, the podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Tantone, and this is the fourth episode of my messy and raw season three of this podcast. I had put this podcast on the shelf for a couple of years, and recently, 4 weeks ago to be exact, decided that I was done having it on the shelf and I was ready to reignite it, relaunch it, restart it. And the restart was kind of mellow, kind of just eased into it and just started. Messy, raw, real, just me and my microphone. You can see my microphone in the frame if you're watching on YouTube. You can also see my, you know, messy face, messy life. I just decided that, no more excuses, no more waiting to have the perfect studio setup, the perfect editing setup, the all my ducks in a row. I was just going to restart it and just start talking and just start using my voice and just start, expressing my thoughts. And so that's what I've been doing, and I'm really proud of the consistency that I've done it with because if you know me at all, you know that I am historically consistently inconsistent with things. And it's a little bit self-deprecating of me to say that and it's not entirely true. As I discussed on a previous episode a couple weeks ago, I am actually more consistent than I give myself credit for. I just do my consistency different. Like when I work out, I may work out, different days of the week each week. I just kind of follow my own rhythm. And because of the nature of my work, being a nurse where I do 3 12-hour shifts a week, those tend to vary. Sometimes life doesn't look like I'm not a Monday through Friday, same time, same place, same thing every day. I'm just not able to be like that. And frankly, that suits me. So consistently inconsistent, but here I am again. I have actually managed to successfully record and publish this podcast 3 weeks in a row every Wednesday at 5 a.m. Arizona time. And that is a different kind of consistency than I have done very many things with in my lifetime. So I'm proud of that and kind of just doing this raw and meta thing for you, kind of doing it in real time, letting you see into my messy middle while I try to add some value to you. So this episode, I wanted to talk about exhale, which is my word for 2026. And I don't know about you, but I was introduced to this idea of having a word of the year several years ago. And I've done it. I've done it for the last several years. And I've had some really good words. And this year, I wanted something a little different. Anyway, the I like the word of the year idea because unlike, goals, dreams, aspirations, resolutions, it's not um it's not so I'm trying to think of the right word. It doesn't feel like a stranglehold on you. Like whatever the word you choose, it doesn't lock you in quite as much as goals and resolutions do. I'm a very goal-oriented person. I've been somebody who has mapped out goals, written down dreams, planned out, you know, elaborate business plans and fitness plans for years. So I'm not against that, but I like the word of the year because it's just so simple. And I've tried to think of a word that just encompassed the feeling that I was going for that year, because I think that's almost more important than what you do and what you accomplish is how you feel and how you make other people feel and what your life feels like. So that's my thoughts. So why exhale? Um, I guess a lot of reasons, and I'll get into that. But just this morning, I was actually trying very hard to sit into an ice bath, which a cold plunge. Actually, I did a cold plunge and an ice bath both this morning at a local place near me called Reconnect Mind Body. I just started doing this with my daughter, and that's a whole nother story for another episode. But I am someone that very much hates cold water. Like, I don't even like getting in the pool when it's 75 degrees. That's too cold for me. So I've tried to do a cold plunge actually in my pool a couple years ago, I think, or maybe last year in the winter. Didn't didn't go very well. Like, I don't like cold water, and this was very, very cold. But I have a coach that's kind of coaching me through it. And she was saying, exhale. You use that exhale to breathe out all the toxins and breathe and calm your nervous system and use your voice. Exhale with your voice. She wanted me to go, ooh, like, I don't know exactly how she wanted me to do it. I wasn't doing it very good, but anyway, it made me think even more how the word exhale means so many different things. Initially, when I thought of the word, I was like, oh, the exhale after a long inhale, after holding my breath most of 2025. I just was dealing with some unimaginable stuff with my family last year. And you probably wouldn't have known it, even if you know me pretty well, because it was stuff that I can't really share on social media, which is hard for me as somebody who shares everything, as somebody who wrote a memoir about my personal, you know, spiritual life and, romantic love life and, basically a very intimate memoir. And now here I am dealing with something that's like a big deal, and it's something that so many people deal with, and I really wasn't at liberty to share about it. And that was hard because that's kind of how I process things. But anyway, so now things have come to a place where I can finally exhale after holding my breath. So that's why that word was already rising to the top as I thought about words. But then, having that experience just this morning at Reconnect made me want to even embrace it even more and also talk about it here on the podcast. Um, so just like this whole podcast, today's episode is a personal and very imperfect reflection. And I want to model that you don't have to have it all figured out. I'm just inviting you to breathe and reflect with me. Just exhale all those expectations, all those, you know, unrealized dreams, all those negative emotions, all those imperfections, all the toxicity, physically and emotionally and spiritually. So I love, if you know me at all, you know that I love like words that have kind of multiple meanings. I mean, my book is called Piece of Work. We're all a piece of work, a work in progress, and a work of art. I love like the word work, and those different meanings. And then, on last week, I was talking to my friend Brian, and he brought up, well, you could also have peace in your work. So the other spelling of the word peace instead of Piece, Peace. I love that. I love just language and words. So exhale, you know, literally is when you're respirating, breathing, you inhale, breathe in the oxygen, and then you exhale the carbon dioxide, all the bad stuff. So exhale's a release physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Um, and I love that's another thing. Like, so inspire is inspiration, when you're breathing in, and then expire is technically like death, I guess, when you're breathing out, but it's not. It's like it's the circle. It's the full circle of the inspiration. You can't inhale without exhaling. So it's the letting go that follows the inhale. You're letting go of the tension, the bracing, the survival mode. And it's the part that we sometimes forget to do when we're holding it all together. Exhaling signals safety. It's a sign to your nervous system that it's okay to let go. It's involuntary and essential. You can't just inhale forever. So I love that. So I'm going to keep going. I wrote some notes about what I want to talk about. So keep myself a little bit organized, even though I like to just ramble on. I had already recorded like 15 minutes of this, and then I realized I didn't have my fancy microphone. It's not so fancy, but it does make a difference in the sound. So I decided that I would just scrap it and restart. So I had some good thoughts in my first recording. Hopefully, I can remember some of them. So yeah, I've been navigating some intense and heartbreaking moments, but also always kind of held on to hope. But I've been very much, in 2025 was very much high alert, fix it mode, constantly just working and, you know, just go, go, go. Just, we got to deal with this. And now it's time to exhale and just trust that the healing is in motion. And it is. In my career, I've been trying to build a business, actually a couple different businesses, and write a couple different books, all while working full time as a nurse at the hospital. And, going back and forth between which book am I going to write? Which business am I going to focus on? And still being a little unsure. So exhaling is kind of like exhaling the stress of trying to figure it all out and just letting it just be, letting myself, exhale my ideas onto the page, doing it messy, but doing it. So it's kind of about releasing perfectionism, overthinking, imposter syndrome, and exhaling into my own voice. And I definitely would encourage you guys to do the same. Let's see what else. I've done that in another subject. So I kind of broke it down to mental health and motherhood, career and creativity, and then relationships, dating, divorce, recovery. That's another thing that, is kind of a big deal over the last couple of years. And this year, I'm just exhaling into being fully me without needing to prove or perform or people please the way I've tried to do in the past. And then again, I always come back to physical and body health regulation. After years of holding trauma in my body, I literally had breast cancer and lots of stress and lots of, all the years of trying to be skinnier and trying to be, I don't know, I guess I can't really try to be taller. I always wished I was taller, but actually that's even a thing. For years I always wore heels. Like always, always, always wore shoes with a heel. I mean, for 10 years I was married to somebody who was 6'4" and I'm 5 feet. So that was part of it. Like we literally looked ridiculous together. So whenever I was with him, I would wear a little bit of a heel. We still looked ridiculous, but it helped a little bit. And now I'm like, you know what? I am 5 feet tall. Like I don't need to pretend I'm taller. So I actually have bought my first pair of Birkenstocks, and those are so comfortable. They're like, I don't know how I went all these years without owning Birkenstocks. I wear them most of the time. I do have some athletic shoes that have a little bit of a platform that are kind of nice, and I do still like to wear heels when I dress up. But anyway, literally trying, all those years of literally trying to make your body be what it's not. And now I'm just embracing it, and going more natural and just all my training. Like I'm not training for a marathon. I'm not really doing anything other than just my F45, which I might have an episode about that too. Uh, I love that workout, and that's what I do regularly. A lot of hiking and outdoor stuff when the weather's nice. And then this new thing of doing the cold plunges in the sauna and stuff, which is something very new for me that I'm quite loving. I like it because I'm doing it with my daughter too, which is special. So, exhale for me is going to look like more space on my calendar and in my nervous system, creating from rest rather than stress, saying no or not now more often, creating margin for creativity, laughing more, walking slower, speaking softer, eating slower, more belly laughs and less bracing, and breaking through my own fears so that I can breathe through this messy middle instead of just white knuckling my way through it. So that's the heart of it. I'm wondering if you also pick a word of the year and what yours is this year. What are you ready to exhale from your life? What would change if you stopped holding your breath? Um, that's about all I have to say. I want to just look, I'm looking through my, oh, I have a little bit something else that I wrote down. Um, so I was thinking about it after you know being prompted to exhale, and my coach was telling me to use my voice when I exhaled. So I was curious, like why that is. And she was saying that it kind of helps. It helps like regulate your breathing and calm your body down. So the exhale, like I said earlier, is actually a parasympathetic response. So the inhale activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, while the exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest part. So exhaling reduces heart rate and blood pressure. The longer and slower the exhale, the more your body receives the message that I'm safe, I can calm down. Exhaling obviously releases carbon dioxide, as you might remember from sixth grade science class. On a basic physiological level, the exhale is how your body releases waste, carbon dioxide from the bloodstream. And exhaling with sound, vocalized sighs, adds emotional release. So making a sound on the exhale, sighing, humming, moaning, or even singing, adds vibrational regulation to the process. That's interesting. I never thought about that. Singing, just something I've always loved to do, is literally an exhale, a vocal exhale. So, yeah, I guess that's why my coach encouraged a vocal exhale in the cold plunge because it helps move stuck energy, regulate the breath, and process the intensity of the experience. So, symbolically and metaphorically, when you exhale, you're releasing. Obviously, you stop clenching, you stop holding your breath, you stop bracing. So, exhaling is letting go of control. Exhaling is trusting the process. You can't exhale if you're afraid of not getting your next breath. Exhaling is really an act of faith. Exhaling is making space. You must exhale to inhale again. There's no new breath, new idea, or new energy without first releasing the old. Exhaling is claiming safety. Sorry. You don't exhale in danger. You exhale when it's okay to soften. In choosing exhale, you're choosing to no longer live in survival mode. And exhaling is expressing. The vocalized exhale, the sound, connects to truth, self expression, emotion, embodiment. So, like sighs of release, groans of frustration, laughs, crying, singing, those are all exhales. That's interesting. They're just exhales with emotion. So, I think that's about it. Like I said, I realized I've been holding my breath for a long time, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, like bracing for impact, waiting for the next crisis. And exhale is like an invitation to soften, to stop clenching, to trust that the next breath will come. I'm just looking at my notes, making sure that I didn't forget something that I wanted to say. I'm sure that I did. But there will be other weeks, other episodes. So thank you for listening to my rambling. And I invite you to subscribe and, subscribe on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can watch it on YouTube And just this means a lot when we're for a growing podcast or any podcast when you subscribe because it just grows the algorithm. So this is Piece of Work, the podcast. You can find me at Danielle Tantone. So it's DanielleTantone. So on all the socials and my website, danielletantone.com. And my book is called Piece of Work, a memoir. We're all a piece of work, a work in progress, and a work of art. It's available on Amazon and maybe someday soon in bookstores, but for now it's on Amazon in all formats. It's available in audiobook, it's available on ebook, it's available in hardcover, softcover, whatever you like. And I'm working on a couple other books, so I'll be letting you guys know about those soon. And I'm also working on some exciting programs for 2026, some coaching and some group programs. So keep listening, and you'll be following along as I make it better and better here. So for now, you get the original, raw, real, messy middle. Thanks for listening. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.